Hi folks, Joseph Kursky here with you to talk about a simple but engaging activity that I've used lots of times over the years with students and faculty. It highlights the following: how to use online documents, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, etc., to share and create a common spreadsheet. And number two, how to map that spreadsheet. And then number three, how to pick out some patterns as a result of that mapped data. Let's begin. Here's a simple spreadsheet that I set up for this purpose. As you can see, at the top of this spreadsheet, I've got several things: city, country, state, and then some sort of initials. You could have an additional fun thing where students could make up a nickname for themselves for their initials. That's fine too. The point is you've got to have a header row in your spreadsheet so that your mapping program, in our case ArcGIS Online, will be able to recognize it as a mapped variable, as a mapped thing. Could be latitude, longitude, could be street address, but for this activity, I wouldn't go there because number one, you've got to be concerned about location privacy. You really don't want to have people's addresses in here. Number two, latitude, longitude, you got to go to additional maps and tools to get your latitude, longitude, and again, you don't want to be that specific. So here I would stick with city, state, country for their hometown. So where's your hometown? You can do this with students in a class. You could do this in a professional development activity that you're running for educators, whether online or face-to-face. Instead of going around the room and saying, hey, where are you from? Why are you in this class? You do that. You don't do this instead of, but you do that, but you also map it at the same time. And here they could actually pull up your spreadsheet inside, in my case, Google Drive, but it could be in Dropbox or OneDrive or something like that where you could share it and all edit the same document. They're putting in their information as they're introducing themselves. So here I've got some sample cities. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add Lubbock, Texas, because what's not to love? It's Buddy Holly country. It's in the USA, and his actual real name was Charles Hardin Holly, so I'm going to put CH there for Buddy Holly. Buddy was his nickname, as some of you may know. All right, so we've got Lubbock and we've got some other places. Notice that I've got a couple places outside the US so we can test out the geocoding capabilities of ArcGIS Online and see how that works. So I've got Puebla, Mexico. I've got Vancouver, Canada, Moncton, Canada. We could put some other places in there too. But the point is, you've got a very simple spreadsheet. Then I'm going to go ahead and save that and share that spreadsheet. So let's just do this. Let's scoot this box so you can see it. Okay, great. I'm sharing it with others, and so I'm going to copy that link. Yep, good. I've got that link right there. The other thing that you need to do is you need to publish it to the web is what you need to do. Why? Because you're going to publish it as a table. You don't want it to be a spreadsheet in docs format. You want it to be a CSV, and you don't want it to be an HTML page. So we're not going to make it as an HTML web page. We're going to save it as CSV, comma separated values, right there. So this is the link that we need to be able to add it to, in our case, ArcGIS Online. So comma separated values, I'm going to go ahead and copy that link, and we're good to go. Super. All right, so now we're going to go and add ArcGIS Online, and right now we're going to go to Map. Click on the Map button there in ArcGIS Online, arcgis.com, and I'm going to modify the map in the upper right. I know that's off screen a bit for you to see, but in the right-hand side of the map, there's a Modify Map, and now we've got this Add button, and I'm going to add layer from web, add layer from web. Why? Because it's a CSV file that's on the web. Makes perfect sense. Now I'm going to paste in that URL, and I'm going to hit add, and then it's going to say, okay, where are your location fields? Now if you set it up like I did, it'll guess correctly. If you have field 1, field 2, field 3 without descriptive names of your fields, then you'll have to map it right here according to the correct field name. But I've already got city as city, state, country, etc., and I'm not using the initials for any sort of location. Great, I'm going to go ahead and add layer. Nice. Okay, there's my point in Mexico. I've got these points in Canada, so those all worked. Yep, with the attributes right there. I'm going to say done. It's doing some smart mapping. It's going to map it on city name if I don't want that. If I want it to be mapped on according to initials, I can go ahead and change style, and I can say, you know what, I want initials now, and I'm going to say done, and there I've got the initials or nicknames, right? I can look at the patterns now and see that I've got a clustering of right here in Colorado where I am right now. I've also got some over in Kansas. If I wanted to change the base map so I can see the patterns a little bit better, maybe light gray canvas, and now I can see that, you know, what kind of patterns I might have. What's another way to see patterns? Well, another way to see patterns is if I can go down to pub here, and by the way, I probably want to change that, right? I want to change that. See this rename right here? I'm going to call it hometowns. Great. Now I can change the style again and go to a heat map. And I can say done. Okay, now I can see some clustering, hotter colors, brighter colors, more clustered right there. It's not a statistically significant hotspot map. That's something different we can do inside ArcGIS Online. This is just a quick visualization tool to allow us to see where data points might be clustered. Another way to do that would be to go under hometowns once again and say I want the location only. I'm going to select, and then I'm going to go, location only, options, and say OK here, and done. Okay, now let's go under more options here, right side of the map layer, and go to clustering. Now with clustering, it is a way, as the name implies, to see things. You know, you're trying to, oftentimes in a geographic information system or a GIS, you're trying to pick out patterns. And sometimes there are so many points, not in our case so much, but there are so many points that you need to actually do some clustering so you can pick out the patterns more easily. So right now I've got enable clustering, more or less. And if I slide this to the left a little bit, I'm going to get less, and you can see the difference in the center part of the country here where Denver is and Kansas. So you can set the clustering up like this. Great. So now let's pop up the legend, and I can see that, okay, this size dot I've got, or this size point, I've got over 4 features in there, and so on. Okay, and so I can click in there. In Denver right now I've got 9 actually represented by that size point symbol. Okay, so that's another way that you can visualize these things. Fascinating. Now remember that this is a GIS, so I can go ahead under the layer and click on the table, and then I can see the table behind the data, and I can sort this any way I want to. Another extension of this activity is you add some sort of numeric field. That way you can additionally map something on a numeric field. Right now we've got basically text items in our database. But do something like, how many times did you eat out last week versus in the house? How many times have you been swimming in the last year? You know, make it fun. And that's how many countries have you visited, and you can do some analysis. Is there a pattern of, you know, people out west in the western part of the USA, for example, are they more well traveled? When I used to live in Kansas, I was amazed at how many people in the middle part of the country are so well traveled. They're very well traveled in the middle of the country, at least in Kansas. So do some of that, and the way to do that is to get a numeric field in your database of some sort. Now, by extension, this could be not hometowns. This could be trash in your community. This could be water quality. This could be weather. This could be tree height and tree species. This could be a lot of building types. This could be a lot of different things. But the idea is you're sharing a spreadsheet and then you're mapping it. And the end point, folks, is not just to make a map and call it good. The end point is to do analysis, to show the value of spatial thinking and spatial analysis. What are the patterns? What are the relationships? What are the trends? Maybe there is no spatial pattern. That's interesting too. So you're sharing a spreadsheet, and then every time now, if I save this map, this spreadsheet will be updated. Now, one of the points to notice though is that the points to point out here is that with an automatic feed with city-country combination, it doesn't automatically refresh. Okay, you've got to do it by address or latitude and longitude, which for this activity we're not doing. So what you have to do is re-add that table, that database into your map. Okay, so this map is not automatically going to refresh when that table is updated. Just one small technical note. But it takes all of, 10 seconds to add that data back in with the add button. Okay, so very good. You've made a spreadsheet. You've shared your spreadsheet as a CSV. You published it to the web. You added it then as a table. And now we could save this map. Let's call it hometowns. This is where we actually do need to have an account inside ArcGIS Online. This is the first instance where we've had to in this particular one. So hometown map of course participants. Okay, so that's what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to demonstration hometown spreadsheet shared Google Drive. That's good. Okay, so I gave it some metadata, gave it some tags. Then I'm going to share this with everyone so that you can actually look at this map as well. And that's all good. So let's go ahead and share that. I can also create a web mapping application here. That's a separate video, and we do have some videos on that topic. But for example, I want to make a story map out of it, or I want to make something that is packaged up in such a way that maybe I add some photographs of some people's hometowns or something like that. I can create a web mapping application. But right now, if I just save this as is, you'd be able to look at it with the URL that I provide, which is right here at the top of this. Let's scoot this down a little bit so you can see that right there, that URL right there. Okay, so excellent. Happy mapping. Go out there, map some data, share it in a multi-person environment like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, etc. And you'd be able to do exactly the same thing I did using ArcGIS Online from Esri. Thanks.